In the mountains and deserts of Afghanistan, something extraordinary is happening. The Taliban is building projects that few thought possible. But the story isn't about bricks and machines. It's about raw power. Power over the rivers that feed nations, over the energy that lights cities, and over hidden minerals worth more than gold. China has already taken notice. One project is so vast it dwarfs anything else in Asia. And while the world looks away, Beijing is quietly pushing a $60 billion corridor straight into Afghan territory. 400 kilometers north of Kabul, something monumental is taking shape: the Kosh-Tepe Canal. This is no ordinary project. Stretching 115 meters wide, it surpasses even California's famous aqueduct. Its purpose? To redirect 20% of the Amu Darya River into Afghanistan's arid plains. Once finished, this canal could irrigate 550,000 hectares of farmland, an area larger than the state of Delaware. If successful, it would expand Afghanistan's cultivable land by a third and bring the nation closer to food independence. At this very moment, more than 6,000 workers are digging relentlessly, their heavy excavators tearing through some of the harshest landscapes on Earth. The Kosh-Tepe Canal carries an estimated price tag of $684 million. On top of that, the Taliban has poured in an additional $100 million of its own funds, a clear signal that they see this project as central to reshaping Afghanistan's economy. But here's where the tension begins. Countries like Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan rely heavily on the same river to irrigate their cotton fields. Now Afghanistan is diverting part of that flow, signaling, "We'll take what's ours with or without approval." These projects aren't just about development inside Afghanistan, they're also about influence. By controlling the water, the Taliban gains leverage over its neighbors, turning rivers into tools of power. The Kosh-Tepe Canal is only part of the story. Across Afghanistan, new dams are rising, including the Bakhshabad Dam, a project pushed forward despite heated clashes with Iran over water rights. The signal could not be clearer. Afghanistan owns the source, and no one can stop it. These dams serve many purposes at once. They generate electricity, reducing dependence on foreign power. They irrigate fields, moving the nation closer to food security. And most of all, they arm Afghanistan with leverage over its neighbors. What shocks many observers is not just the building itself, but how it's being managed. Under the old US-backed government, billions in aid vanished into corruption and unfinished projects. Today, the Taliban claims a different path, and for once, evidence supports it. Reports show major projects being completed, funds used as intended, and a drastic reduction in the corruption that once defined Afghan infrastructure. The Taliban's agenda extends far beyond water and power projects. They are now investing in urban development, rebuilding the capital under the banner of Kabul New City. The plan covers 722 square kilometers, making it almost 1.5 times bigger than the existing city. Officials say the project represents more than construction. It's about reshaping Afghanistan's identity and providing a new model for urban living. As part of Kabul New City, the Taliban aims to deliver 250,000 residential units, enough to house up to 3 million people. Phase 1 alone covers 206 sections. The Golden City section will provide 42,000 homes for 23,000 residents on 372 hectares. Work on Parcel B resumed in August 2023, creating 6,600 units for 40,000 people. By late 2024, construction of Parcel 2.6 had begun, backed by $700 million to add another 52,000 homes for 33,000 residents. Housing is only the beginning. The Taliban imagines Kabul New City as a place filled with universities, clinics, shopping centers, and green parks. Schools and hospitals will form the backbone of its daily life, supported by modern infrastructure and utilities. The project is set to unfold in 2 phases across 30 years, combining homes with agriculture, business, and recreation. If finished, it would rank among Asia's largest planned cities, a project that could redefine Afghanistan forever. The Taliban has a sharper sense of geography than many assume. Afghanistan sits at the crossroads of Asia's key trade routes, and they're working to leverage this advantage. One major step is the expansion of the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, CPEC. In May 2025, China, Pakistan, and the Taliban signed a trilateral deal to extend the $60 billion project into Afghanistan. This move links Xinjiang through Pakistan to Afghan territory, opening China to Central Asian markets and Afghanistan's vast mineral reserves. Another game-changing project is the Trans-Afghan Railway. Valued at $4.8 billion, this 573-kilometer rail line will link Uzbekistan with Pakistan through Afghanistan. Once operational, it will slash transport times from 35 days down to only 4. Construction is set to begin in 2025, involving more than 300 bridges and 5 massive tunnels, each cutting through some of the toughest terrain on the planet. If completed, it could transform regional trade. In 2023, the CF Herat Railway officially came online, marking Afghanistan's first rail link to Iran. The inaugural shipment moved 655 tons of railway equipment across the border. With this route, Afghanistan gains access to Iranian ports, and through them, the world's shipping networks. The Taliban's message is clear. International recognition may still be absent, but Afghanistan's strategic geography cannot be overlooked. The Taliban has also revived the long-delayed TAPI pipeline, short for Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India. Designed to carry 33 billion cubic meters of gas each year, the project could transform regional energy flows. In September 2024, the Taliban surprised many by restarting construction on Afghanistan's section of the $10 billion pipeline. Spokesman Zabiullah Mujahid confirmed the work after ceremonies with Turkmenistan officials. The 1,821-kilometer line will cross volatile Afghan provinces, but if finished, it could bring nearly $1 billion in annual revenue and create thousands of jobs. The TAPI project has roots that stretch back to the late 1990s. In 1998, the Taliban entered into negotiations for the pipeline, envisioning it as a regional energy lifeline. The September 11th attacks and subsequent U.S. invasion froze those plans indefinitely. With the Taliban back in control 25 years later, they've chosen to revive the very same project, underscoring both continuity and the long-term strategic value of TAPI. The TAPI pipeline isn't the only cross-border development on the Taliban's agenda. Another major undertaking is CASA 1000, a $1.2 billion electricity transmission project aimed at powering millions of homes. The plan is to transport clean hydroelectric energy from Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan through Afghanistan and into Pakistan. Central Asia's mountains generate plenty of hydropower, but its population is relatively small. By contrast, Pakistan and Afghanistan have growing populations and industries that urgently need more electricity. The CASA 1000 transmission line is designed to supply Afghanistan with 300 megawatts of power and channel another 1,000 megawatts to Pakistan, collectively enough for about 1 million households. What makes the project unusual is its financial framework. In 2024, the World Bank authorized construction to continue despite not recognizing the Taliban. To manage this, a ring-fenced mechanism was created. Revenue bypasses Taliban institutions, but the project itself advances. This arrangement allows Afghanistan to host and benefit from the infrastructure without exercising financial control. For centuries, Afghanistan's position at the heart of Asia gave it strategic value. Today, another resource is drawing attention: its mineral deposits. Analysts estimate trillions of dollars worth of lithium, copper, iron, and rare earth elements lie below the surface. The Taliban, now firmly in power, is moving to exploit these resources. If they succeed, Afghanistan could shift from being a landlocked, aid-dependent country to a major player in the global supply chain. The story of the Ainak copper mine is almost legendary. For 15 years, China has tried to start digging, holding ceremony after ceremony. Each time, violence or corruption got in the way. But in July 2024, something changed. Once again, the red ribbons were cut, but this time the Taliban promised something the previous governments never could: stability and protection. Investors are starting to believe this might finally be the real beginning. The Taliban has turned mining into one of its biggest cash machines. World Bank figures show they pulled in about $1.54 billion in 2022, much of it through taxes on mining and reconstruction. What makes this fascinating is how the money is being used. Instead of just pocketing the revenue, they're funneling it into new infrastructure, roads, tunnels, and dams. Those very projects then make it easier to pull more minerals out of the ground, creating a cycle of growth that feeds on itself. Imagine a tunnel so dangerous it killed about 40 people every year. That was the Salang Tunnel, until the Taliban began channeling mining revenues into its reconstruction. Hidden deep in the Hindu Kush Mountains, 11,000 feet above sea level, this 2.7-kilometer passage is Afghanistan's lifeline, joining its north and south. Originally built by Soviet engineers in 1964, the tunnel became infamous as one of the world's most perilous roads. For years, the Salang Tunnel was a graveyard. Drivers inhaled thick clouds of dust and poisonous carbon monoxide, trapped in a passage built for far fewer vehicles than it carried. At times, up to 9,000 cars crowded into a space meant for only 2,000. In 1982, tragedy reached its peak when collisions triggered fires and explosions, claiming as many as 2,700 lives in a single day. The worst road disaster in history. That's why what happened in December 2023 shocked so many. Taliban officials announced they had completely rebuilt the tunnel, spending $100 million from Afghanistan's own budget. That's nearly a quarter of the country's annual tax revenue. If these kinds of projects succeed, they could change Afghanistan's fate, and perhaps the future of the entire region. After the fall of Kabul, many assumed Afghanistan's armed forces would collapse into chaos. But what's happening today tells a very different story. The Taliban, now calling their force the Islamic Emirate Army, have been busy restoring abandoned U.S. and Afghan military equipment. Everything from Humvees and trucks to tanks, helicopters, and countless small arms left behind. Alongside this, they've moved to transform their movement from an insurgent guerrilla force into something resembling a national army, reportedly numbering around 150,000 troops with ambitions to expand further. Their leaders talk openly about creating a disciplined structure rather than relying on scattered militias. And in practice, they've begun to prioritize areas once neglected, like air defense. Officials have hinted at strengthening anti-aircraft systems to guard Afghan skies from drones and missiles, even announcing the installation of an air defense system at Kabul airport. At military parades, the Taliban now showcase the spoils of war. UH-60 Black Hawks, Mi-17 helicopters, and armored vehicles once meant to fight against them. To their supporters, it's a symbol of sovereignty and strength. To their critics, a troubling reminder that Afghanistan's new rulers are not just holding onto power, but actively building the foundations of a modern military. In the heart of Afghanistan, a nation scarred by decades of war is trying to rewrite its destiny. Canals are carving lifelines through deserts. Megadams are rising to tame rivers. New cities are being built to house millions. And even a once scattered army is being reshaped into a force meant to defend it all. Yet the real question lingers. Will these projects become the foundation of a stronger, self-reliant Afghanistan? Or will they crumble under the weight of corruption, conflict, and global politics? The answer is still unwritten, but one thing is certain. The future of this land is being forged right now, brick by brick, tunnel by tunnel, and decision by decision. And that's why we want to hear from you. Do you believe Afghanistan is on the path to transformation, or is history preparing to repeat itself? Share your thoughts in the comments, and if this story opened your eyes to a side of Afghanistan the world rarely sees, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and join us as we uncover more untold stories shaping our world.